Why do we choose to shy away from these vehicles? Is it because they're highly unreliable? Or is it because we're told that at high mileage, they become a ticking time bomb? What's up, Hack Fam? Welcome back to another review where it's your car, my views. This is a 2012 Mercedes-Benz E350 4MATIC. Let me show you why those labels don't apply to this particular generation of Mercedes E-Class. This W212 E-Class is hands down the best looking E-Class that had come out in a while since the W124. It's got the AMG rims along with spacers, so it has a flush stance. Then you have the two-tone exterior, painted calipers. These alone make it stand out even more than the presence that it already has. The W213, which is the current generation that I had reviewed not too long ago, the exterior is very nice looking, but when you compare it to the W212, it doesn't have the classic Mercedes look, those sharp angles and the muscular lines that Mercedes was known for back in the day. Let me show you guys how the interior is holding up after all these years in this E-Class. Even after 10 years, when you step into this cabin, you can't help but be amazed by the materials Mercedes has used in this car. The build quality is so solid on this that there is nothing wrong inside the interior, nothing broken, no rips, no tears. And even when I'm driving, there's no shakes or rattles. It just drives like it just came out of the showroom yesterday. 2012 A6 had an interior that was redesigned and it looked like a spaceship. Then you had the BMW interior and the 5 Series. Well, it's just a BMW interior. Nothing wrong with it, but it can't be compared when it comes to the Benz and the Audi. Sorry, BMW fanboys. But this particular cabin, there's a certain uniqueness about it. It's just classy and well thought out. It has 183,200-ish kilometers. So in sports mode, it's not bad. It's still a little sluggish to downshift, but it's still better than the eco mode that you have. The eco mode, it's always confused. In sports mode, it's not as sluggish as it is in eco mode, so I find it much better. This E-Class had tough competition back in the day. There was a newly redesigned 2012 Audi A6, and then there was the BMW 5 Series. The W212, which is the fourth generation of the E-Class, started in 2009. It went all the way up to 2016. This has a 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6. It makes 302 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque. The 2012 Audi A6, the 3.0T, was a 3 liter V6 supercharged, mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. That made 310 horsepower and 325 pound-feet of torque. The BMW, specifically the 535i xDrive, powered by a 3 liter inline-6 turbo engine, made it to an 8-speed automatic, made 300 horsepower, 300 pound-feet of torque, weighed in at 4,233 pounds. And then the heaviest was surprisingly the BMW 535. Usually BMW is the lightest. It's the E350 that's the lightest, but it doesn't feel like it when I'm driving it. The price on these is usually determined by the mileage, the trims, the options that these cars have. And you can find these from 13,000 Canadian to over 20,000 Canadian across Canada. A few things you should watch out for if you're in the market for a used W212 E-Class. They had some common problems, but the first thing you should ask for is maintenance history. Even if it's a high mileage car, if the owner has maintained it properly, you might not have any issues, or they've already been taken care of, most likely in the earlier years of its life. Then you have issues like the water pump, speed sensors, O2 sensors, mass airflow sensors that were pretty common in these cars. Most likely they've been dealt with, but if it's not in the maintenance history, just watch out for them. Then also people complained about rear subframe rust. especially if you live in Canada and out on the east where they use salt on the roads. As a driver, the first thing that I look at when I enter a vehicle is how adjustable is the driver's seat? Can I get the perfect seating position where I can see all four corners? And the good news is that this has so many options for you to adjust it that I doubt that you won't find that perfect seating position in this. You have your power tilt steering wheel, then you have your foldable mirrors, then you have a rear shade that with the press of a button comes up just like that, and then you have memory seating for your passenger, and you also have a trunk that has a power lift gate, so with the press of a button it goes down, and then when it's coming up it's motorized. So these are things that add up and make this car even more special even in 2022, because these are options that were unheard of in a lot of cars back in the day. The moment you enter this cabin, you know that this is all class. You are in a different league. Even after 10 years, the way it's held up, you know that they've been using some really good materials that are premium quality. And even at this mileage, they're holding up like the car's brand new. There's hardly any cabin noise that I noticed while I was driving, even on a windy day. So that's another testament to Mercedes on the insulation that they've used, and after 10 years, you're still able to drive on the highway or at high speeds on a windy day and not be able to hear a lot what's going on outside. If you love your audio, this might be your car. The options that you have to run audio are insane. You have your Bluetooth streaming, then you have a USB plug-in, then you have the hard drive storage, then you have the CDs, which I guess no one uses anymore, and then you also have the SD card that you can plug in for your audio. Lots of options, and the audio system sounds amazing on this. Not only am I comfortable in the front, but the passengers in the back, especially Hagdog over here, is having a good time. He's actually taking a nap back there. It has a lot of room, so you can easily seat 3 people, and they'll be comfortable along the way even if you end up going for a long drive. Since the steering controls are so clearly laid out, it's very easy to use them. You have your left side that controls all the options in your instrument cluster, so you can go through all the options, audio, navigation, video, and all that stuff. And then you have the right side, which controls your voice control, your audio controls, and then your phone controls. So when you're driving, it's very easy to operate them, and you don't have to look down while driving. The absence of the push button start is something that boggles my mind, because in 2010 onwards, most of the manufacturers, especially the luxury manufacturers, were starting to come up with their own push button starts. E-Class, which is supposed to be a mid-sized luxury sedan, not sure why the E-Class didn't have that. I would highly recommend getting used to the left side controls, because the left stalk can be quite annoying and challenging if you're not used to the Mercedes ecosystem. The reason I put this as a dislike is because some people just want the conventional controls, and for them it could be annoying, and it also can be a safety concern if you're not used to these controls and you start driving. If you just stepped out of an Audi A6 or the BMW 535i, you'll notice right away that the E350 is lacking in the handling department. It has decent handling, don't get me wrong, but when you compare it to the competition, it does fall short. For a naturally aspirated engine, I was expecting a lot more from the E-Class, but it did let me down. It felt very sluggish compared to the competition, and it was always hesitant to go hard. Every time that I gave it gas, it just seemed very slow to respond. This generation Mercedes didn't have the most user-friendly command system. It is harder to navigate through and not as user-friendly. When you compare it to the MMI and the iDrive, you will find that those are a little easier and more user-friendly. If you like your coffee and you're like me and you carry a larger water bottle, If you have two large water bottles in the front cup holders, there is no other storage on the sides for you to store the water bottles in case you decided to have coffee. If your number one goal is to attain the most performance in a daily driver, look at the A6 or the 535i. If you want luxury and comfort, I would go for the E350. Even with high mileage, this E-Class shines bright today. It provides you with luxury, practicality, and a great driving experience.